Good evening and welcome to Speaker Club's Saturday night number 79, Riding the Waves. If the name itself is talking about waves, don't be surprised about what we are going to witness today, because we are talking about the waves of emotions. Emotion, a strong word. Different emotions, different purposes, different results, different reactions, but they're all emotions. We as humans are by nature the one that differentiates us from machines or any other being is the fact that we emote. We have emotions, good, bad. I'm not talking about those things. All I'm telling is we all have emotions, and that is what differentiates us. And that is also what differentiates each one of us in how we deal with emotions. So let's move into today's session, which is going to be about how can we become the master of our emotions. And when I say a master, I'm not saying cent% control. I'm not saying cent% control of what you are feeling at every minute. We are talking of a relative journey from wherever you are today. The idea is to progress and move ahead in a progressive way in which you are in a better charge of your emotions and the follow-up that happens based on those emotions. That's the idea of today's session, to see and assess where we are in our emotions and how are we going to go about in the future with the awareness, with a little bit of a technical knowledge that we're going to talk about today, about how we can become better at managing our emotions. Let me warn you though, this is the program which is talking about skill building. It's talking about skill building. So it won't be a case where after 1 hour you out of the session, you will be better or more emotionally intelligent person. You will have the awareness of what makes a more emotionally intelligent person, but what follows after the session and what you do progressively from tomorrow onwards, day in and day out, how you are in control, how you're thinking consciously about what your emotions are and how you're dealing with that. That's the process that we're going to talk about of how you can become better. So at the end of it, we are talking of still 1% of how you can become emotionally intelligent. That 1% is the awareness. That's what we're going to talk about in this session today. Don't expect miracles because they never happen. I could be where I am today, looking back 5 years to where I am today, progressed and taken a little bit of better charge, but still I'm way far off from what I want to be. Ideally, someone who is not at all moved with what other person does or intends to do to me with anything. Only I can take charge of my emotions, and only I can influence what I want to do when it comes to emotions. So let's jump right into the session right now. Respond with a yes or no. And mind you, if you don't want to respond, don't respond even with a nod. Just get the answers to these questions in your own mind while I ask you these questions. You need not respond or say anything. You can just think of the answer in your mind also. I'll be asking a set of questions for which the answer is a pure yes or no. It is obviously relative and the scales of it may vary, but yes, the ideal answer is what is there in your mind and how you're responding to that. Can you accept criticism from someone that you love? Can you move on after making a mistake and having known that you have made a mistake? Can you say a no when you need to? Are you able to express what you exactly feel with the other person? The other person could be anyone, could be the closest one that you have, could be a friend, best friend, parent, or anyone, or even a stranger. Can you express what exactly you're feeling to them? Are you clear on why you do some things and the reason behind that? Can you talk face to face with a person whom you don't like? and still listen to what that person is saying. Good evening and welcome to the world of emotional intelligence. If the questions that I've asked you all have raised doubts of how much power you have over yourself, you are in for a roller coaster ride for the next 45 minutes or so, because that's what we are going to do, of understanding what is it that we do, how we respond to emotions, what is the reasoning behind our emotions, and how can we control them. That's what we're going to do over the next 45 minutes. Let's begin with a simple question. Most of you all might have already heard the word emotional intelligence, or the word better known as emotional quotient. What do we mean by emotional intelligence? Can you just unmute and speak?
Emotional, may I?
Go ahead, Rabia.
Yeah, emotional intelligence in the sense of handling your emotions or controlling your emotions at the time of situation when you're feeling you're losing or you're just going with the flow.
Interesting.
So acting accordingly in a very controlled manner, as what I feel.
Okay, thank you, Rabia. Uma, ma'am, go ahead.
How you respond to a situation. The same situation is there for two people, and how you respond. You have the choice. So it depends on how you respond. So
Okay.
you have the choice to respond, and how you respond decides your emotional intelligence. That's what I feel.
Anyone else? Madhu.
Yeah.
Because I'm coming next to you. Madhu,
Sure.
after you. Madhu.
No problem. When it comes to emotional intelligence,
Go ahead, Madhu.
yeah. When it comes to emotional intelligence, I from few years in my mind, it's only one thing is coming. That is the story of Google CEO Sundar Pichai cockroach theory. Yeah. So in that, in a small word, when there are three women in restaurant, there is one cockroach, fell on one woman hand. Then she jumps like anything and she screams in the total restaurant looks at her. And again in the process of moving around, it went to other woman hand. She also similar reaction. But nearby there is a one servant come very quietly and takes hand with his gloves and just put like this, takes and simply throws away from the window. And he says, I mean, I'm not sure whether this really happened to Sundar Pichai. He said, when I went to a coffee shop, this happens, but otherwise this narrated story. But that's the way you react. Sometimes we react. Sometimes we have to respond. Sometimes we react. Sometimes over reacting something like that. So that's I believe depends upon there is some theory also. 90% of our problems are how we respond. Things will happen to everyone the same, but how you respond that makes us. So that's I think that will come in my mind.
Thank you, Madhu. I think that story is a wonderful, beautiful story about our response and how the flurry of emotions that we go through based on what is the fact in front of us. Thank you for sharing that story. We'll be using that story somewhere in the session. And Vikas.
Yeah, to me, emotional intelligence is being aware of what emotions are going through. I'm going through, and instead of reacting, taking a pause and to respond. If I can do that, then I'm emotionally intelligent. If I'm just flowing with the flow and reacting to the impulses impulsively, then probably I'm not emotionally intelligent. That is what I can think of.
Thank you, Bikash. I think that's a very well constructed definition. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else would like to share? One more person. Anyone else would like to share? If not, we'll move ahead. No issues. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Uma ma'am, Rabia, Madhu, and Bikash. You all are right. But when it comes to emotional intelligence, when you talk of its definition, the totality of its definition deals with three elements. One is inside us, how we feel. Second is how we express. Most often people think that this is where emotional intelligence stops. But the also important fact is how you perceive. A combination of these three things and what you do and how you understand emotions in these three areas is where your intelligence lies. First is the ability to perceive, control, and evaluate emotions, whatever it is, your ability to perceive and control them. Second is to use and manage your own emotions, how you are expressing yourself. How are those emotions flowing out of you? Do you have a charge? Are you in control of that? And finally, the most important thing is understand how the other person is responding or what do we say, interpreting the way we are expressing our emotions. The perception, the last part is also critical, because you as a human being do not live in a standalone situation. You are already always interacting emotion to emotion with the world. You could have one, the other person could have another. While you being emotionally intelligent, if you are a solo human being living somewhere in isolation, it's all okay. It's all about you and your actions. But the world that we live in, we are constantly interacting with people, and that is where the intelligence also has this element of how the other person is responding. How are you listening to what the other person is responding? And that's where your intelligence also lies. Because you cannot, it is often said you cannot control the other person's emotions, but by the end of the session, you'll realize you actually may not be controlling the other person's emotion, but you surely have an ability to trigger or navigate the emotion of the other person based on what you are doing. And so the three elements of emotional intelligence: the world inside you, the thinking part, the action part, and the final is the listening part of what you are seeing or how you are perceiving the emotions of others. Now let's get deeper into this world of emotional intelligence. Now let's put intelligence aside. What is emotions? Suddenly my kid comes out of the door right now, and I'm doing this session right now. What will be my reaction? The flurry of emotions inside, the thought which is going, this is screwing up my session now. I told Pragya to take care of it. She's still standing there and I'm staring at you. Can I show that strong look to her while you all are staring at me? What is emotion? What is emotion?
What you have to do is bring him close, give him a tight hug and say, good night, go and sleep. Let me finish this.
Welcome to the 21st century, babies. If I give him a hug, she settles here with me and the session has to be closed. Shreya and Akanshara is smiling already. The millennials that we have over here, the generation that we have, I'm not blaming anyone. There's no labeling anyone that it's good or bad. All I'm saying is it's a little different. Now, let me ask you all on a serious note. What are emotions? What do we mean when we say emotions? What are the types of emotions that we're talking of? Anyone can just unmute and speak. Shubhadram, go ahead. Shubhadram, go ahead.
Anger, love.
Okay.
Yeah. Let others tell.
Feelings.
Okay. I'll wait. Rabia, Bikash after that.
Feelings related to feelings which are related with your like expression of your thoughts and ideas, what you have in your mind.
Okay.
When you express it in a form of any kind of facial expressions could be, or just show love and affection with a gesture of a hug or a pat, like that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Uma ma'am. Bikash, go ahead first. After that, Uma ma'am.
Okay. So what I feel is when we see any event, what that event is triggering within us is the emotion. So it can be actually also very sexually. The same event can trigger different things in different people. So emotions are also different, and how we perceive that and how we actually process that, based on that, actually the reactions or response is also different.
Interesting. I think because your point adds up to what Madhu just mentioned about the story, the cockroach. It's the same
Right.
cockroach, but the reactions are different. The emotion of what the chemical reaction that happens inside you is different. Thank you for sharing that. Chetan, Uma ma'am, go ahead.
Emotions.
Yes, Chetan, go ahead.
Emotions of anger, love, fear, then impatience. So different kinds of emotions.
Got it. Uma ma'am.
Yeah, same. The feelings which we express, like it could be sadness, happiness, anger, the navarasas, whatever feelings you have at that time. And like Vikas sir said, it may differ depending on each person, how you react.
Thank you, ma'am, for that. So what we're discussing over here is each one of us have a certain emotion which erupts on different stimuli. Okay, I'm not getting into a biology class or some technical subject over here, but what I'm talking of is there's a chemical reaction, there's a thought process, there's a feeling behind what we undergo. And they could broadly be classified into positives and negatives. So as an example, love, gratitude are called positive emotions. Appreciation, or the negative sides which are there, like anger, jealousy, or these are all emotions which are on the negative side. So as a human, because we are humans, our emotions work on the model of a pendulum. One side on the positive, one side on the negative, one side on the positive, one side on the negative. As humans, if you are experiencing this, congratulations, first thing, you are a human. If you are not experiencing it, get yourself checked. There's a reason that we as humans have these emotional movements. It may not be as stretched from one extreme to another. It can be the basic thing. I like this. While I was having the roti sabji, nice. Today the curry is paneer, nice. Thank you, Pragya. I was just thinking in myself, I was feeling good. And then I had the fried rice with extra salt. When will she learn? The pendulum of emotion. I'm not going about reasoning why it happens, because it happens for different people for different reasons. I'm not getting into that. What I'm getting into is that the fact that we all have emotions and they keep moving. Now, the problem when we talk of emotional intelligence is that do not assume emotional intelligence is no emotion. Emotional intelligence is in 5 minutes, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 days, 1 month. That is where the problem is. As humans, this is okay. Emotional intelligence is accepting this and this and this and this and coming back to the stable state. Coming back to a stable state. Uma ma'am, you're looking very beautiful today. See the rise in the emotion. For the next 2 days, Nataraj, you have not said I look beautiful for a long time. Rahul, he sees me just on Saturdays and he's seeing I'm beautiful. He sees the beauty in me. Next week, someone sees her. What am I doing? I'm not looking good. What's wrong? What happened? Am I not looking good? Something is wrong. Akanksha's mother says, you're not studying at all. You have no interest in studying at all. After all the effort that she gives, she does the studies, acting at least, but she does that. And after that, her mother says, you don't have any interest in studies. Look at your marks. What's happening to you? These parents, when will they understand marks are not important? Rahul sir, look at him, how he says, marks are not important. Your learning is important. Why are my parents like this? Parents took you for a movie. Parents went for a holiday with you. My parents are the best parents. After that, your parents will tell, enjoying done now? Now study 4 hours. They are so mean. They do some things like that only without any purpose. The idea that we're talking of here is, look at how you are played. May not be manipulative. I'm not talking of manipulation over here. Look at how with an external stimuli, you can be moving from here and staying here for a long time, or you can be moving here and staying here forever. In class 8th, my teacher said, you are never going to make it in life. You are a disaster. I'm in class 12 now. I can never make it. My teacher, she knows. But the fact is, other person's opinion or the stimuli which has been there, if it is influencing you to stick to one side of the story, I'm not just talking of negatives, even the positives are equally risky. If I'm always super excited, what to do, what can we do? Chalo, let's do something. I have a 8-year-old kid who's exactly like that. Kuch to karte, papa. Is also a challenge. I'm not talking of it in the relevance of a kid. All I'm saying is that the positives, being optimistic always, I know it will work out. I can deal with this. I can deliver this session till 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. I don't have the content prepared. I know I can do it. I'll manage and deliver this session. Okay. At 10:30, I'm seeing I've done a disaster because I didn't prepare. Why? Optimistic. Too happy. I can manage everything. I'm okay. I'm good at it. I can do it. Too optimistic. Positive emotion, definitely. But when the positive emotion is not followed up with action, and it is just staying on this elated side where the positive emotion is there, it also has its repercussions. When you're optimistic, you don't doubt or question something. While that very questioning can lead to you finding a flaw in something and working on it. Because you're optimistic, everything will be fine. Nothing is going to be wrong. It's okay. Happy go lucky. Great. Chalo, let's go. 9 o'clock, no preparation. Let's do a session. That's okay. At 9:15, while the session is going, I'm thinking, what should I do next? I won't show it to you. But at 9:15, what question should I ask? People are staring at me. Optimism also backfires. That is why it is said, whatever be the emotion, positive, negative, be wary of where you stand. It is said that you are an emotional fool if any stimuli, whether it's within or external, can keep you on either side for more than 5 minutes. If after the session, Uma ma'am still thinks, okay, Rahul said I'm beautiful. You sure? I have to learn a lot of things over here today. Vijaya, nice cakes. Sweets for Diwali were very good, huh? I got wonderful reviews for you. After 10 minutes, Vijaya, I have an order, but I need a discount. Uplift and manipulate. Positive, uplift and manipulate. If someone wants to hurt you, you came first, but I know the teacher is your close relative, and I know the benefits that you get of tuitions. Negative and hurt, and that emotion stays there for a long time. That I didn't deserve to be first. I didn't come first on my merit. But you could know that, but you are still here. 1 hour, 1 day, 1 month later. Emotional intelligence is being in the flow of the emotion, acknowledging the emotion, but coming back to where you are, the sanity of the stability that you have, and not being on the extremes, and being in charge of what you feel for it. I hope each one of us is in sync with what I'm sharing right now. Emotional intelligence, frankly speaking, if you have it, we are still talking of a progressive journey. Today also, if a session doesn't go well, or if Pragya says something to me, or if my father calls me up and says something good or bad, if I don't look at what I have done for the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and I look at one opinion and stay on either side for more than 1 hour or more than 5 minutes, I am an emotional fool, because I am easy to be charged up or charged down. And your strength lies in this, or being in charge of how long can you be charged up or charged down. That's where your skill lies. Now, I would want each one of you all to reflect on one instance where you felt you did something on the positive or negative, any side. You did something based on the emotional charge that got into you. You would not have done that if I asked you to do that now. Positive or negative, you can share anything. Because you wanted to share something. I saw you on unmute and then again you went on mute. Because? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I want to give a feedback that the way that you have portrayed is very right, and I can relate it to myself. Most of the times I think that optimism is really good, and I stay in that era. But I can now figure it out that many a times I
because your voice is breaking up,
become overconfident and I'm not seeing. Is it better now? Yeah. So what I said is, like, being optimistic is also very much difficult or not a very good trait. Over optimistic, that is very right. I can relate to myself. I have done many a times lack of preparation or kind of overconfidence, and I have kind of spoiled things just because of that. So very nicely said.
Thank you, Bikash. Yes, anyone would like to share any instance? Quick, 30 seconds. Madhu, go ahead, shoot.
Yeah, there is a one instant always in my life, it will come many times. Actually, earlier I'm in a different field. Right now I'm in IT. When I wanted to move to IT, there are a lot of courses, computer courses and all these things, I'm in the process of learning, but sometimes I feel like, maybe it's not my cup of coffee, something like that. But always one thing is driving me, and even I can strongly believe that in future also that will drive. In my second organization is my director or MD. He's a very genuine person. When whatever he says, very genuine he says. About me, he wrote on website, Madhu is a person who spoke so fast. He need not to be, but is very intelligent. See, whether that is true or not, I really don't care. But from his words, always it drives me. And with that emotion, always whatever I want to achieve, I'll put on myself, like such a person, trusted me. That means something is there in me, but I am not recognizing. So that pushed me many times, and I achieved many times, with that, emotion, and I achieved results also. So that always a very best emotion for me to drive. So that's a one good experience in my life.
Thank you, Vijaya.
मैं हंसती रहती हूँ हमेशा।
बोलो आगे बोलो।
हो रही है।
बोलो।
हाँ, तो मेरे साथ कैसा हुआ था कि I fought with my sister for that dress, a single dress के लिए मैंने उससे फाइट किया था। We were about to go to temple that and we fight like just so much ऐसा। So that time I realized and what I did कि मैं उस समय मम्मी और मेरे सिस्टर के साथ गई नहीं because of that dress. So what is the case? I missed that darshan. Darshan मैंने नहीं किए, उन्होंने किए. They enjoyed fully. She wore that dress also, and that time and now I'm realizing that what I did na, it's wrong. I did wrong with myself. मैंने enjoyment खोया, मैंने मेरे family का साथ खोया. ड्रेस का क्या था, कोई भी पहन लेते। तो वो एक इमोशन जो था वहाँ, वो मुझे अभी ऐसा लगता है यार व्हाट सिली थिंग आई डिड दैट।
Okay, thank you Vijaya. Anyone else? One more person if you want to share. Anyone? Sri Krishna, go ahead.
Yeah, for me it is in the college seminar. So in college seminars na, sometimes I will be like overconfident. Seminar कर लेंगे, हो जाएगा, सब कुछ हो जाएगा। I go to the stage and mess up, and yeah, it has happened like in the either ways for me. Sometimes I am very afraid, like it has happened. Ulta us din I do it very well, and when the day I am overconfident, I mess up. So it has happened to me in 2 ways like that. So I have felt it in both ways.
Interesting. Thank you Sri Krishna. Now let me ask another interesting question. When we said we all have different factors on which we have a different emotion, how do you think we all have learned our emotions? Where have we learned our emotions? Like as an example, fear. Love. Gratitude. Where whatever feeling you have, whatever emotion you have, ask yourself or share if you can. Where did you learn that emotion from? Chetan, go ahead.
I think each person is unique and emotions of each person are unique. So it's a natural, quite natural.
But still, there could be elements of genetics, I agree, but I'm not going into that level where I'm talking of genetic inheritance of certain natures or feelings. Like as an example, if my dad has a lot of anger, he's very angry young man types, or if I'm like that, to a certain extent, I would agree on genetics, but still, where do you find, or where is the source of the emotions that you have learned? Where do you get them from? Vikas, go ahead. After that, Rabia.
Yeah, I think any emotion that we have learned is by experience. So suppose something very nasty happened with me and I saw it, or some fearful event happened and I saw someone really get scared, then that kind of impression actually stays in my mind, and next time I tend to act in the similar manner, and that emotion fructify. So that is one instance I can think of.
Interesting. Thank you, Vikas. Shakti, go ahead. After that, Vijaya.
Yeah, I think mainly emotions, they come from the external stimulus. Like when I have an exam, I get underconfident or I get nervous. When I'm on the stage.
No, where are you learning that from? See, as an example, you don't have an exam as such by default, by birth, or something like that. Exam is there. Exam is there for everyone. But what is your reaction? What is the emotion that you're experiencing? Where did that come from?
That is, I think, natural, like which all we have. But then, it mainly depends on external stimulus.
Then how is it different for some person? Some person, okay, he might be 40-45% types, but okay, I'm going for the exam. Ready.
Yeah, that's because
Full
like
preparation.
we cannot put so
It
much
is
efforts.
nature.
Like
It
when we
is
put a lot
nature.
of efforts, we fear getting failed or yeah.
Okay, I'll come back on that. Rabia and then Vijaya. Chetan, I'm coming to you.
Yes.
I know when I told of exams and fear, I know Chetan would prop up because he's one among the ones who see students a lot. Rabia, go ahead.
Yeah, we learn from the surroundings, seeing to the people how they react with us. We learn from them. Because according to me, I feel if I learn something from you, the patience, the time management, the kind of what you can say, every Saturday punctuality as such. From our living life itself, I can take an example of how we just get ourselves associated as well as get ourselves inclined to it and stick to it to be there at 9 o'clock every Saturdays and look forward for it for the rest of the days. So it is an emotional bond what we have with, and we learn from that.
Got
Thank
it. Chetan,
Yes.
you were on unmute. I thought you wanted to share something.
I think emotions are quite natural, but can be overcome.
Okay.
Like,
Okay. Thank you everyone for Akanksha. Shoot.
I think as much as emotions come from within, they also come from outside. For example, now if someone is laughing at a joke and you have the fear of missing out, oh God, I didn't get the joke, let me laugh too. So I think as much as they come from within, they come from outside too. The outside world, how they react, you tend to react in the same way. The emotions keep passing on to you, and then the reaction comes from within.
Interesting. Vijaya, after that I'll continue. Yeah.
So I think that it is automatic. मतलब एकदम ही आता है वो. One time what happened ना कि मुझे skin disease हुआ, जैसे round circle हुआ कुछ, and after that time, उसके पहले नहीं था, उसके बाद क्या हुआ, phobia हो गया. किससे? सर्कल से. ट्रिप्टोफोबिया. जब भी मैं कुछ सर्कल्स, बहुत सारे ग्रुप्स या सर्कल्स एक साथ देखती हूँ, आई एम हैविंग फोबिया. आई हैव नेवर इनवाइटेड दैट इमोशन ना, मैंने उसको बुलाया नहीं, मैंने उसको किया नहीं, बट वो नेचुरली वो देख के विजुअलाइजेशन सबकॉन्शियस माइंड ने जो उसको ले लिया. नहीं, एक सर्कल से नहीं होता, बहुत सारा जो जैसे अ ग्रुप ऑफ एग्स है या इस
Got
टाइप
it.
से. So
Thank you, Vijaya. The reason why I asked is that as much again, like I said, I'm not a technical expert on the genetics, but there is a factor of genetics. I don't disagree on that. But the major factor of where we learn or where we actually get to learn our emotions is from the environment, the situations that we have experienced, and the circumstances that we have fallen or witnessed ourselves. Like as an example, when you talk of exams, a lot of kids have this anxiety and pressure and all the emotion that they go through, largely because it has been trickled down from the parents or the peers that they see. The peers get it from their parents. You have to come first. You have to come 90%. You have to get 95%. You have to get IIT. You have to get JEE. And may not be if directly telling about their performance. Their parents, while they are in business, they are waiting for results. They are waiting, doing something. क्या होगा, result क्या होगा, कैसे होगा, कुछ होगा या नहीं होगा, कैसे होगा या नहीं होगा, loss तो नहीं हो जाएगा. The natural inclination of a human unconscious mind. You're not doing this consciously. But as the unconscious mind, we as humans learn, we mirror the emotions that we are surrounded with. So if you see a lot of positive people, jovial people, happy-go-lucky people, you will see that they'll be largely surrounded by the people of that kind, and where they have learned to be and respond or emote accordingly to how their situation and environment has taught them. And that's where what we need to understand is, because we're talking of emotional intelligence and being in charge, if we understand that there's a reason behind emotions, but it's an unconscious learning that happens. And when we talk of unconscious learning, it's natural for it to take in the autopilot mode. So more often than not, when idhar jab aap honge, when it's a crisis situation or you have that overexcitement situation, what will happen is that your unconscious mind starts to operate in the autopilot mode. whatever your emotions are there naturally, you are not consciously, मैं नहीं करना चाह रहा हूं, मैं टेंशन लेना नहीं चाह रहा हूं. Your autopilot is working. तुम टेंशन क्यों नहीं ले रहे हो? भाई एग्जाम है, मजाक थोड़ी है, 10th है, बोर्ड है, कुछ तो टेंशन लो. There's an autopilot mode on either side working. Now, this is where the intelligence comes in. One of the most fundamental thing about emotion is to recognize how you are feeling. Ask your friends on your emotions. Have their take on how do they think or perceive you emoting in different instances. And that is where also you being aware in this kind of a situation, in this instance, I behave in certain way, I feel in certain way. Whatever is the emotion, being aware is the first step to becoming intelligent. Once you become aware, because it is unconscious, and like we had it in the sessions of habits, 95% or more than 85% of our responses are even without we knowing it. And so after you have become aware that this is your response, this is how you react, this is how your behavior pattern follows after you feel something in a certain instance, once you're aware of these situations, you start to take charge. In that minor, small 5% of the time frame where you are conscious of understanding what you are feeling and making a choice to how you are wanting to respond. Again, this is just 5%. There'll always be that 80, 85, 90%, which will be making you go back to the normal response. This side or this side, wherever it is, it will make you go back to your learned habits, which are there in the unconscious mind. And so it is a choice that you're making. If I'm angry today, people often tell this. I've heard this video somewhere. I don't recollect where, but how many of you all get angry? Madhu, Shreya, Chetan, लगता नहीं है चेहरे से. ठीक है, आप हाथ रखो नीचे. आप तो डांटने में भी सुंदर लगोगे. देखो, चेतन खुश हो गया, स्माइल कर रहा है. आज रात को सोएगा नहीं. Now the question. If you're angry with your child or on someone whom you can show your anger, what will you do? You will show anger. Akanksha, Shreya, your principal, you're angry. What will you do? You will hold back on your anger. So are you becoming angry? Or are you choosing when to show anger?
Choosing. Certainly choosing.
Exactly. Because there's that 5% conscious mind which is in operation to decide, can I throw away my anger outside to the person or can I not? If you're able to choose that, why can't you choose to show the anger itself or not? Not decide to whom it is being done. Can't you choose that whether you want to showcase that anger or not?
Yes, certainly.
I hope with this you understand where, if you are able to choose where you want to show anger and where you don't want to show anger, depending on the person, why can't you choose whether you want to show anger or not? I'm not saying resist. I'm not saying bottle up. I'm not saying keep it inside you only. As much as by taking off or by keeping it within you, the anger is leveled out over a period of time. So does every emotion over a period of time can be leveled out if it is a one-off instance. If it's a persistent instance, obviously there is a requirement, even that is emotional intelligence, to show it out with effective communication. Keeping it in also, again, like I told you, emotional intelligence is not about no emotions or being 100% in charge. It's about choosing. It's about you being in control of when That's where we're talking of the presence of emotions, both sides, the choice of how long you want to stay in an emotion. And what we have talked is less than 0.1% of emotional intelligence. So you have emotions, you can be in charge of them, but like I mentioned at the start of the session, it is not that now, okay, pick up club, thank you, tomorrow onwards I am a sadhu. Won't happen. It's a progressive journey. With the awareness that you have, the answers that you have had for yourself today. Remember the questions that I asked you at the start of the session? Criticism, all the whatever questions I asked you at the start for which you answered yes or no. Look at the degree or the scaling at which you are. Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. If you are at 4 right now, or if you could be at 2 right now, you could be at 8. The idea is to get in charge of that in a progressive way. Moving from 2 to 3 is an accomplishment. Progress. It takes generally years for people to come to that state where they are balanced. They know that who can impact them, how much someone can else impact you. It is a choice of what they're feeling right now. Someone appreciates me right now. Sir, very good session, sir. After the sessions, sir, yeah, so nice, so many comments. I'm happy. People like the session. Till Friday, I won't prepare. Next session will also be good. Avoid. No comments came. People didn't like the session. I think we should stop Speak Up Club. It's not, why wasting time? I'm not sure. Every Saturday night, 1.5 years, yeah, no holidays, nothing. People are not liking it also. Till Friday, okay, let's hear. We'll announce not doing any further. After 1 or 2 more sessions, close. If it were this, imagine, would we have come to 79 session? Part and parcel, but yes, come back to where you want to be, where there is sanity, where the bad days doesn't influence you, the good days doesn't make you crazy. Celebrate. I have that moments. I tell you, I have told you many a times. After the session, if I've got a feel of it, I'll dance. 5 minutes. बहुत हो गया, बस है. अगला session prepare करना है. But that's how it is. Okay, I'm not saying I am a very emotionally intelligent person. I have my strengths, I have my weaknesses, but I am making sure that I'm progressing over the period of time from wherever I am to being more emotionally intelligent. Given the time and so much still to add to this session, I think we'll continue this session in the next week also, because there's much more deeper things that we can be discussing about how we can work around improving our intelligence, emotional intelligence, how we can work, what are the tips and tricks in which you can start making progress in building your intelligence, emotional intelligence. And also, most importantly, there's one very important concept about 3 ego states that we have. I'm just mentioning that so that if anyone is interested, you can go start reading about it, do Google and all those things. There's something called as each one of us as a human, as emotions, we have 3 ego states. The first one being the parent ego state, the second one being adult ego state, and the third one being child ego state. Up until now in this session, we have not talked about the emotional intelligence, about how the other person is impacting us or how we are impacting the other person. We have all talked about our own world and our own behavior following that. Next week, let's talk about how we are interacting with others based on this ego state that each one of us have, be it a 10-year-old or be it a 70-year-old. All of us are operating in a certain ego state at every point in time, and we are not fixed. We are not fixed on one ego state, that I have a personality based on which I have an adult ego state or something like that. While I'm talking to you right now, I'm in a parent ego state as an example. Right after this 5 minutes, I go and talk to my child and make him sleep and talk stories to him or talk like a child with him. I have a child ego state where I become like a child. So this is a very interesting concept. But if I touch base on that now, it will go over at least over 30 minutes. So rather than touching it and leaving it, let's talk next week in a much detailed fashion about this and going deeper into this idea. So hopefully each one of you all are excited about that idea where you can actually not only influence your emotional state or how your emotional well-being is, but also how the other person is. Wouldn't that be a superpower where you can actually, not in a manipulative way, I'm not talking of manipulation here, but I'm talking of dealing with someone else and making sure your emotion and that emotion, how are they dealing with each other, or how are you communicating while each one of you all are in different ego states. With that, I think we have come to the end for today's session. Although I feel this is just an interval that we have in this very interesting concept that we have had today. Hopefully each one of you all have got some value out of it in whatever we have discussed up until now. Dig deeper. Like I said, it's a process. You have to just go deeper and keep progressing in your state of emotional intelligence. There's no right, wrong, good, or level that we can talk of it in the terms of like an IQ or something. But there is this thing where you can better judge yourself from where you were 6 months back to where you are today. In the same way, once you've got the awareness of what is emotional intelligence, how are you dealing with it, 6 months down the line, check for yourself. How better are you? This session's worth will be in actually working around and playing around and developing your emotional intelligence over a period of time with the constant actions that we were talking of. We have just talked about the framework. Let's get deeper next week. Any other questions up until now or any other feedback that anyone wants to give, please shoot.
Excellent session, Rahul ji.
Thank you.
And
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I think one quick trick that I try to implement is to be inward. So as and when I see myself inwardly motivated, inwardly inspired, I I care little less or kind of not much for the outside comments, and I keep myself my equanimous state stable by accepting as it is. That's what I do, but I am very much interested to attend the next session and see many more techniques that you are going to.
I'll leave a thought on that open.
Sure.
When you are completely or majorly inwardly focused, you miss out on the opportunity of having an alternate perspective from what you have. I'll leave that thought with you. Let's take it up next week further. Vijaya, go ahead.
I just want to share my one experience जिसको मैंने उसको सही किया था. पहले कैसा होता था कि if I want to say namaste to any uncle, so they are coming from that side of the road and they cross the road, है ना. मैं सोचती रह जाती थी कि I have to say namaste. That is my fear level. मैं इतना डरती थी कि उस समय में मुंह से नमस्ते भी नहीं निकलता था, वो निकल के चले जाते थे. आफ्टर दैट व्हाट आई मतलब मेरे दिमाग में मैंने उसको ट्रेन किया, बोलने से बात बनती है. बस ये लाइन मैंने अपने अंदर करी कि इन माइंड दैट बोलने से बात बनती है. सो व्हेनेवर आई फील दैट फियर कि ओ यहाँ नहीं बोलना या किसी से वो चीज नहीं लेना है, कैसे लूं मैं उससे वो चीज, कैसे मांगू. सो ओनली आई say that one line only to myself and to other also who are getting fear that मैं कैसे बोलूं, कैसे करूं. बोल के तो देखो ना. ऐसा if we are telling one time and अगर उन्होंने हाँ किया तो it's okay, ना किया तो it's okay, बट मैंने देखा 99% सामने वाला हम ट्राई नहीं करते, बट 99% सामने वाला हाँ बोलता है.
Interesting, nice perspective. I think it's a good takeaway for everyone in the audience too about try. 99% of the time, like Vijaya says, it could work out. मैंने ट्राई किया था प्रज्ञा के पहले 7-8 को ट्राई किया था, सबने ना बोला, फिर प्रज्ञा ने हाँ बोला, बट ठीक है. Anyways, thank you. Yes, any other comments before we close for tonight? Yes, Madhu, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel emotions sometimes will affect our decisions in our life, our decisions, because
every time we as humans, because like I said, we as humans, emotion is what differentiates us. So you talk of any decision that you make, there will be an emotion behind it. You can find that. Go ahead, Madhu.
Yeah, with that emotion, sometimes we may take good decisions. Sometimes with anger or something, we may take bad decisions. But in my experience, in 2020 June, I read the book called "Who Will Cry When You Die," the book of Robin Sharma. In one chapter, it's very important because that changed at least some percentage in my life. There is a one chapter, write generalism, not general, our general, like kind of, it's not a diary. Whatever till morning to here, something, maybe 1,000 things happen, but whatever you want to write it, like some emotion. No, I have shouted him, I think I should not. No, that emotion, write it down. And you took very good, caring someone, your watchman or someone, and they felt very happy. Write it that way. That means whatever big things happen in today, he says, Rabin Sharma says, write it. Because when you write it, next time, whatever you did wrong, I mean, with the emotion, whatever you taken the wrong decision, slowly you yourself will recognize, and that decision taking, it will change in our mind. So I think that's, I mean, I'm not sure perfectly, but some percentage is changing me. So I believe that emotions, even this side or that side, it's we have to take a decision that will help.
Thank you, Madhu. I think when you said about this idea, two things that I got from yours. One is decisions, while need not be just about anger, it is also on the other side. Over optimistic can also be harmful. So always decisions taken when you are in the sanity and stability and not charged up or charged down will be reasoned. Failures will be there because decisions can always be wrong or right. The context can change it, the situations can change it, everything can change, and the decisions can eventually fail. But a decision which was taken in this state is what will be reasoned with logic, that whether this was a good decision or wrong decision based on anything. But if the same decision doesn't work out in this side or this side, the reasoning will be the charge up or the charge down has making the decision fail. And on the point of journaling, I think it's a very good point. Next week, we'll be working a little deeper on how we can find the calmness or the stability in our emotions with the help of journaling. That's a beautiful example, Madhu, about how actually journaling, what it does is, it makes you your own judge. It makes you your own judge about your feelings, how and what you have written in your journal. Look back and read what you wrote 6 months back and what you are today. You don't need any validation from external force to tell you how good or how bad you are today. If you had written that today I was angry for 1 hour because this person hurt me 6 months back, and today if your response is after 5 minutes you're okay, you have found your answer. You have found your answer, and you did not be validating with anyone else outside. Your own past, your own history tells you how far you have come. That's what journaling does. And journaling in general need not be about pen and pencil also. Any form of journaling is basically taking out and emptying your mind outside. And what that does is, all the clutter and the multiple permutation combinations which are there in your mind, once it is written out, there's a clarity. And then you can make better judgments and better decisions, because you have given opportunity to take everything out. It's like you want to do Diwali cleaning for your house. You want to clean one cupboard, but if you're just moving here and there, here and there, here and there, all the women are smiling already. What you will be actually doing is, now tell me what can we do, and you'd find your answer. That's how, or that's what journaling can do to you. And that's the reason a lot of therapy in terms of people who are in depression or sad or having negative emotions, they tell them to write, because writing helps you get the clutter out of your mind, even if you don't want to share it to someone. As much and even more powerful is, I would say writing is more powerful than telling to someone also, because when you're telling to someone, there's a doubt in your mind. Will this person be judging me? Will this person tell it to someone? But when you're writing a journal, you know it's yours and all yours. And you're taking the clutter out of your mind, and you're giving a clean mind to start work with. May not be having an answer to or getting a definite answer, but at least it clears the clutter out of your mind. There'll be risks always. If you do something or you don't do something, there'll be risks always, but it takes the clutter out of your mind and then makes you make that decision with sanity. And that will be a conscious decision. Whatever happens after that is a different thing. It's a conscious decision. That's what it does. Thank you, Madhu. I think that gave me a good input to work on for the next week as well. And we'll be talking further on this. I think we have already had a lot of talk on the journaling part and what the benefits of it are. But anyways, thank you, everyone. It was wonderful to have you all here back today. And hopefully this session added value to you. I'll be opening the Speak Up Club session, Speak Up Club WhatsApp group. You can share your feedback there, and that could possibly motivate others to join in next week. And with, like I mentioned, there's nothing, because I was fearing that something of an emotional charge up can come out from someone, and I did not want to put that in the public space. And so I told I may not be sharing the recording of the session, but given that from my assessment, there's been nothing which is not or will hamper anyone if we share this video. So I'll be sharing it. You can review the learnings also and come back next week even more charged up, but don't stay charged up while you're joining. Come in with the excitement. Look forward to see you all. With that, it's come to an end, and like I do it always, Saturday nights have never been this beautiful for the last 79 Saturday nights now. Thank you for the love that you keep coming back every Saturday night, sharing your perspectives, listening to our perspectives, and gaining new perspectives. See you all next Saturday 9 p.m. again. Love you all. Good night.